What's going on, guys? I'm Aaron from PhoneDog.com, and you know, this might be the best, most epic dogfight I've ever done. AT&T finally lost the exclusivity on the iPhone, and they realized that, hey, in order to compete, they're going to have to expand their Android lineup, their Windows Phone 7 lineup, their lineup as a whole in order to stay successful. So they launched two high-end Android devices, the Motorola Atrix 4G and the HTC Inspire 4G. Both support AT&T's HSPA Plus network, which is either here or coming. We're still unsure about that, but they're very different devices. This is a large slab device, 8 megapixel camera, Snapdragon processor, no front-facing camera, but it's $100. This is the flagship Tegra 2 device, where it has that dual-core processor, 4-inch display, so a little bit smaller, 5 megapixel camera, but has some great accessories and a good accessory ecosystem. Which one's the best? If you're walking in the door, which Android device should you buy? We're going to find out in the dogfight. First, special thanks to our friends at Best Buy Mobile. They're going to hook us up with two of these and two of these so we can give them away to you in the One Paw Bandit game. So, when I walk into Best Buy Mobile, you walk out working. So you get this device, you get this device. They're going to help you set up your stuff, email, web, all of that stuff. Enough of that. Let's get into the dogfight, see which one of these is the best. The browsers on both of these devices, honestly, are incredibly fast. We'll take a look at both of them, but I've been very happy with pinch to zoom, even though, Snapdragon here, dual core here, but we can take a look at PhoneDog. Let me get that sucker out of swipe because it's not my cup of tea. Not to say it's bad, but let's see, PhoneDog.com. We'll go to that, and then we'll go to up here, and we'll see what it looks like, PhoneDog.com. Now, again, I happen to be a fan of the screen real estate. You lose the resolution. It's not as high resolution on the Inspire 4G as it is on the Atrix 4G, but you do get that bigger display, which makes it great when you're browsing web pages. So it's a trade-off if you want the higher res display or if you want the larger display. So we'll see here. This is loading up right now, and that's loading up. So you can see the page isn't fully loaded, so we'll wait for it to load. And this is one place where, at least in the pinch to zoom, if I remember right, I think the Atrix 4G runs a little bit faster than the, no, I didn't mean to do that. Runs a little bit faster than the Inspire 4G, but we'll take a look to be sure. Okay, so the page is fully loaded over here, and you can see flashes running in the background. You see the ads moving around, and little Sprint commercials, or Sprint ads rather, moving around. But pinch to zoom seems to be fast, and that's something I've always criticized Android for because it's never as fluid, or hasn't been as fluid to date, as the iPhone 4G. So you can take a look here and see that they've made some significant improvements. It's not blazing fast by any means, but there's little to no lag. Double tap works well. You can scroll over, scroll up, scroll down without any issues. I mean, to me, that's very quick, and it's an improvement over past devices. Now, here's what it looks like on the Inspire 4G, and you can see also very quick. It's just a smidge slower than the smidge slower than the Motorola Atrix 4G, but still nothing to scoff at. Double tap. Whoops. Double tap out, double tap in, down, around. You get the idea. Very quick on both of these devices. Bam, 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 bam. So, very good there. And, you have the typical browser options. You can add the bookmarks. I'm not going to go into this too much, but you can add the bookmarks. You can open up new windows and run several browser windows if you want to, and then you can flip back and forth between them. I mean, I'll show you, for example, Windows looks a little bit different. So, now we have the second one open. Shows the picture, so I can scroll back and forth, where on this one it lists them out just in text form only. So, a little graphic change, but nothing major. And like I said, the build quality of these devices are very different depending on what you prefer. And, again, you're probably looking at these, if you're looking at both of these devices and you're watching this video, you're probably looking at power and less of, the design less of a factor as opposed to the processor, the screen, the other actual hardware specifications. But just to take a look, the Atrix 4G is smaller, but it's a little bit thicker, and it's complete plastic build quality, like I said a second ago. The camera, the battery door, plasticky, and snaps on and off in a very plasticky manner. On the top, you have your 3.5 millimeter headphone jack, power button, which doubles up as a biometric lock. That's a cool feature. We'll talk about that in a few minutes. But HDMI port on the side, micro USB charging port, and then your 4 capacitive buttons on the bottom, menu, home, back, and search, along with the front-facing camera. Volume rocker on the right. Now, again, very plasticky. Now you have something like the HTC Inspire 4G, which is absolutely beautiful. It's basically the Desire HD from Europe rebranded on AT&T and given it a new name. It's absolutely gorgeous. It's made out of this unibody metal construction, so it feels great. And you can see, I mean, there are some plastic elements here and here, but unibody metal looks and feels great, and it has this kind of revised earpiece up here at the top. But look, you know, again, I'm, you know, personal stuff, I'm a fan of this design. You may be a fan of this design. It may, you know, maybe the weight thing for you. You may prefer a smaller device because this device is pretty big in the hand. But let's take a look really quickly here. And you can see SIM cards down here, SIM card slot, micro SD card down here. This easily slides right in. And you have your 3.5mm headphone jack, micro USB charging port here. Nothing on the right side. 8-megapixel camera with a dual LED flash if I don't drop it on the back. And then you have your battery door. Now this is one of those things that's frustrated a lot of people, and I think HTC's fixed it now in the devices they're shipping. But the initial devices, it's hard to remove the battery door. You pull it here where it looks like you're supposed to pull it. It's hard to open. But now that's what it removes like, and you can see the battery just slides right out. So again, that unibody metal construction, and it pops right back in. Now drop the battery door. Hang on one second. Okay. And you know, pops back on. It's kind of an awkward battery door to pop back on. But the power button's on the top, and volume rockers on the left side. Now, one issue I've had with the power button on this, just like the HD7, with extended use, the power button almost becomes flush with the device itself. So let me get out of the shot here, and you can see almost flush with the device, which after a month or two of use is going to make it pretty hard to press down the power button. I mean, I've had this for 3 or 4 weeks, and I'm already having issues pushing down the power button. Sometimes I'll have to hit it twice just to get it to register. I mean, it's really been pushed down. So minor frustration, you know, it's, I mean, 6 and 1/2 dozen or the other. This power button's hard to push down. This lock screen's harder to unlock due to some lag. But, you know, the design, it's going to be personal preference. You have little minor things as well. You'll notice on the Atrix 4G, AT&T stays at the top of the device at all times, whereas on the Inspire 4G, when you bring it down like this, AT&T is up there, but it disappears after about 5 seconds. So if that's something that bothers you, I mean, it kind of frustrates me. I don't care to have AT&T up there, but it's not a deal breaker by any means. But it disappears. Now, again, on HTC Sense 2.0, there's some minor changes. You'll notice, of course, the network identifier. But when this fills up, all the programs you've opened, you can scroll back and forth for easy access back to those programs. So we open up a bunch of programs, then we close them out. We open up Internet, close it out, and you'll see Internet pops up as the most recent application. You can scroll through in addition to seeing your notifications, whereas this is just a stock notifications bar or notifications menu. So just thought it's something cool to point out. Let's take a look at the cameras. 8 megapixels here, 5 megapixels on this one. Now they've made some improvements to the camera, at least so far as I can see, on the Atrix 4G. It's better in my opinion than the 8 megapixel options on the Moto Droid X and the Droid 2, etc. But still not as good as the iPhone 4 and devices like the Evo 4G and the Inspire 4G, which just kind of ruined the Dogfight test in terms of camera. But press and hold the button to zoom in, let go, and it'll take the picture. Let go and zoom in. Let's see. Actually, let's go out a little bit, and you can see pretty good picture quality. And you have a lot of effects here: scenes, effects, flash. You can change the picture up. It's pretty cool. And here is, let's go into there, and that's what it looks like. So I mean, very clear. A little bit not so clear when you zoom in, but pretty clear there. And if you want to see the HD capabilities of both of these devices when it comes to video recording, check it out on the site. I've done video samples on both of these devices. So certainly good. Does not have a physical camera button, which, you know, kind of irks me a little bit. But the Inspire doesn't either. But same. Ooh, that's zoomed in. Let's see here. Back out. Go into the camera application. And then, oh no, it wasn't zoomed in. I'm sorry, I'm just an idiot. Click on that. You can see it's auto zooming. Bring it back. Zooms in. Snaps a picture. And then from there you can share it. You can throw it in the trash. And then all of your editing options are over here. So we'll bring it up. Auto zoom. So again, this one doesn't have a physical camera button either. I just think the camera quality is a little bit better on this one as opposed to the Atrix. That said, I mean, they made some significant improvements. Let's take a look at quadrant standard scores. This is one place where it blows the Inspire out of the water. I don't want to spoil it any more than that. Let's go into quadrant standard. Bam, bam. And you know, honestly, on both of these devices, call quality's been very good. No dropped calls for the most part. I've had some areas in Charlotte. You know, I take it to an AT&T dead zone. Can't talk today. Whenever I do these tests or these dogfights, and I haven't had an issue. The calls have been very choppy through the dead zones, but I haven't dropped calls. Battery life, absolutely terrible on the Inspire 4G. It ships with a 1,230 milliamp battery. This is the downside to the Inspire. Battery life, you know, and the Evo, on the other hand, it has a 1,500 milliamp battery, and it's not that great. I mean, it's hard to make it through the day on the Evo. So imagine with this one, I had to charge it at least once a day, if not twice, with moderate to heavy use. So that may not be your usage pattern, but the Motorola Atrix has been surprisingly good. It has a 1,930 milliamp battery, and despite that kind of power-consuming processor, it's been pretty decent. Let's take a look at the scores. 1,623 here. So we'll wait for the Atrix. While we're waiting, you know, and the downside here is it's a unibody construction, so unless they make a battery within the same size, you can't really expand it out for an extended battery. 1,623 here on this one. Let's see, sending the results. 1,568, which is really odd. This kind of makes me think the quadrant standard's kind of screwy. We may need to look at another one because I've gotten scores regularly between 2,600 and 2,800 on this device. Now that's more like it. 2,952, which falls in line with what I've been getting for the past 3 or 4 days that I've been testing it. 2,952. Here, 1,623 on the Inspire 4G. So at least in, you know, according to quadrant standard, the Atrix rather blows the Inspire out of the water. Let's do a speed test really quickly before we sign off, and we'll jump into that speed test. Jump into speed test. We'll wait for those to load up and get the make sure GPS is turned on this device. All right, both are loaded up on the Charlotte test server. Let's take a look. I don't think either one of these are on HSPA Plus, but it's still good to get an idea of which one is faster, even if it's a minor thing. Let's see here. And the Inspire 4G comes in a little bit faster. Then now it's the Atrix 4G. Do you like my announcer voice? I think I'll get rid of that and just stay with the phone reviewing. Okay, 1,801 kilobits per second, 1,472 kilobits per second. Upload is a little bit faster on the Inspire 4G. Download is a little bit faster on the Atrix. Now these are totally dependent on network traffic, on what's going on. Very random, so don't take these with a grain of salt. But that shows you a little bit of what they're like. Now it's time to declare the winner, and I'm declaring it by a really narrow margin because both of these are really good devices. I mean, that said, I can only declare it to one, and by narrow margin, I give it to the Inspire 4G. I have to give it to this one for a couple of reasons. One, the price point is exceptional. $100 is, I mean, great device for $100. You look at that, you know, in comparison to something like the Click 2 on T-Mobile. It falls right in that mid-range. You know, the Evo Shift 4G on Sprint's about $50 more. Great device for $100. You really can't beat it. That, I think the device, even though this one comes in with quadrant standard scores to be higher, there, you know, in terms of day-to-day use, you're not going to notice a difference between Sense and, between the two devices. And honestly, I think Moto Blur slows this device down. I've been pretty disappointed with some of the lag things between both of these devices. You know, lag things between the notifications bar, unlocking it, typing on the keyboard. So maybe fast, and it's pretty fast in the menu and things like that, but the lag is a little bit disappointing. It gets pretty frustrating over time. It doesn't have the front-facing camera, but I think it makes up for it with a better rear-facing camera and the unibody construction that you really can't beat. That said, the battery life's pretty terrible on this device. So don't, you know, I don't know if I'd recommend it if you're a heavy user, or if you're going to get it and you're a heavy user, be sure to get a car charger, maybe an extra battery, something like that. This one's cool because it does have that Tegra 2 processor. It has the cool biometric lock where you just swipe your finger down and it unlocks it, as opposed to putting in a password or drawing something on the screen. Pretty cool feature there. Of course, the Tegra processor and more, but still, the lag is pretty annoying. Much more coverage to come on PhoneDog.com with both of these devices. We're going to do more tests. We're going to see which, continue to test HSPA Plus in the Charlotte area and additional areas take a look at that in comparison to LTE, 4G on T-Mobile, and WiMAX on Sprint, so be sure to keep it locked on the site for that. Follow us on Facebook as well, facebook.com/phonedog. We're starting up some giveaways in the coming weeks. Be sure to keep it locked on the Facebook page for that. Follow me on Twitter as well, phonedog_Aaron. You think the Atrix should have won, you think I'm awesome because I awarded it to the Inspire 4G, hey, let me know. phonedog_Aaron. Thanks so much for watching. We'll see you next time. Have a great weekend.